Today I'm going to be talking to some people that I actually did some consulting work with. So in this video, I'll be sitting down with my buddies Eric and Cody. Tell us a little bit about their business, their own background, what the experience was like having me over there to do some consulting. And if you guys have a barbecue business and you're looking for some help, feel free to email me at knoxappbarbecue@gmail.com. Tell me a little bit about your business, where you're located, are you a small operation or are you a big one, and just give me an idea of what you might need help with. If you're unsure, hopefully the conversation that I have here with Eric and Cody will give you a better idea to articulate what you might need help with. With all that being said, let's get into the rest of this video. All right, guys, so we are here with Eric and Cody of Smoked Pickles Barbecue. The first time I saw that, I didn't believe that was your actual name.
Yeah, nobody does.
Eric, you want to kind of tell us how your entire business started?
I have no background in the restaurant business whatsoever. As Cody knows, like many other folks, an inordinate amount of time traveling, and when I would travel, I would eat barbecue. It always was just something we enjoyed. Got hooked on the barbecue bug there, but really didn't act on it. 2018, 2019, bought our first smoker and just kind of started messing around in the backyard. In 2021, we had our first pop-up and would sell off of our tailgate and like parking lots and things like that. 2022, we picked back up. We bought the trailer, bought our concession trailer from Blake Stoker. It's Blake's Barbecue, now Blake's at Southern Milling. And then we bought our 500-gallon smoker from TMG here in Knoxville that same year. Where we're at now is we're a full-service barbecue trailer, as well as the other side that's growing is our bilateral catering business. Cody started in August. So Cody started August 1st. He was our first full-time employee.
Yeah, the last 4 years or so before I started working with Eric, I was in some professional kitchens here in Knoxville. Before that, been doing barbecue on my own, like in the backyard with friends and stuff like that, just for little get-togethers and stuff. Through a friend of a friend, I got hooked up with Eric and started on in August.
I thought that this was also a super unique kind of operation that you guys have going too, because I had no idea that you guys were basically a two-man team.
For all intents and purposes, we do have other people that step in, but really it's a two-man show for sure, which both of us have to pull our weight. You definitely have to be a little bit more efficient and organized, which is something, that we're trying to work on.
You were talking about tailgating and stuff, and that was a huge part of the weekend that we spent together as well. The Tennessee Volunteers, like the fans and also the team, which is pretty epic.
Yeah.
How did you guys get into doing that?
Just through some networking. The volunteer club was actually a customer of mine. He just messaged me out of the blue, I guess found me through some friends around the internet. And I remember him coming to pick some stuff up from us, 3 years ago when they had just started their business. Tennessee football, we had picked up because they were looking for more custom stuff for them and like bring the smoker, kind of create the whole experience, like that pop-up premium experience. We're definitely, I would say, punching above our weight class when it comes. I think we just did a tailgate for 1,500 for one, and then 200 for really two different 100-person, so 1,700 people last week. So that was, for two people, really, and like I said, we had some help, but I mean, that just when we pulled that off, we were like, holy, what did we just do?
I think we were talking for almost 2 years before we actually got something going. Like most people know how barbecue guys talk on Instagram, it's just kind of like a gradual relationship that was built. I think you were one of the first people that actually reached out to me asking if I did consulting. Where were you in that process?
I wanted to make sure that we got to a point where you could see the full scope of our business before and what we were doing. I also didn't want to get too far down a road, bringing in Cody and bringing in you. We're not reinforcing bad habits. Initially, you were great about setting expectations for what, and I have to say you were right about what the business is going to be like.
I think one of the biggest things for me, which I don't necessarily know if I can quantify, the consistency and preparation, which again, I'm used to and expect from the professional kitchen setting, but trying to translate that from a professional kitchen setting to barbecue. I know like stuff to do and things that can be done, but the best way to go about figuring out some of that stuff. And that was one of the things that you really helped a lot being here. kind of putting a face to some of that. Like, hey, well, we know that we're doing this job today and this is going on tomorrow. Is there any like small stuff that we can go ahead and knock out of the way? Finishing up this now while we're letting that run, can we piece together this and that for tomorrow morning? And then just some of the pointers that you had said about stuff with the brisket on the smoker and rotating through and checking those, the way to go about checking on those and stuff.
With you, like, one thing I really like, we sat down and talked about it. A lot of guys in barbecue, obviously, they think they're good and they want their ego stroked, right? So they want Joe to come in, pat him on the back, tell him what they're doing is really good. But like, I wanted to hear the things that we need to improve on. I want to hear the things that are important to us, because a lot of those things were things in the back of my mind I knew that needed to be done, but I didn't know which ones we needed to approach first, right? There's certain things you can do that are really simple, and Cody and I have already started implementing them, increasing par levels, increasing inventory, working on process flow, workflow, like that's stuff that can easily be done. And also checking yourself, like making sure, like you said, yeah, we can cook a good brisket, but like Joe just gave us a way to cook like a great brisket. Just from my perspective, that was such an important thing, to have somebody come in and like that you gave him different things than you gave me, and that's the expectation that we had and that you were able to fill for us.
I know one of the things that we had talked about as well is just kind of like you were talking about workflow, more specifically, especially working in a trailer or a truck. It's so hard. We had a small little accident during one of the days that we were there too. We talked about layout of the trailer a bunch while I was there.
We changed a little bit, so we moved things to our bigger warmer and moved that down. Over the winter, the plan is to put the system in place that you talked about. We've already done a little bit of it as far as pre-sorting sauces and move them by the window. We'd moved some stuff into a better place, like in terms of access and that type of thing. We've moved the where we're keeping stuff in the warmer away from behind the counter down to an area, where we can access it down there and move the steam table down a little bit.
I know Eric used to tell me like, oh yeah, I remember seeing this in your videos, and people are always surprised when I work with them that the actual info that I tell them in person is the same information I tell them in videos, Is there anything that you guys felt like, at least spending time cooking, that you felt like really carried over?
The brisket, like Cody talked about the process. I mean, whether you're cooking on the 500 or cooking on the JNR, in the end, it doesn't really matter, because the process is going to be unique, but there is a lot of ways, that you can cook really good. It's been cool to implement that, because we have been putting them on a different cooker. That was almost like a good thing, because it took us away from being so comfortable on this one to having a new implement, to where we kind of had to go back to kind of figure it out, like watching the brisket for color, like checking it for texture, check it up underneath it. And, if we need to cook 25 briskets for catering, like we're going to use this, and we need to be able to make them just as good as what's coming off of here. And then ribs, same way. Now we're back to having to actually watch the meat. I'm glad we went through that. I thought it was really important the way that you kind of showed us the movement on the pit, and of course that was just on an offset in particular. The ones that were getting down here towards the stack that were getting done too quickly, you're like, all right, let's move them and block them a little bit. There's a little less airflow here. Those kind of tips and tricks, like, yes, they're just little tips and tricks, but they're immensely important in like the end result and the end product. We're kind of relearning that now and recalibrating that, but it's been important for us.
Just using all the senses and everything, kind of just driving that home. It's a big thing. Like, I would try and do that some, like doing backyard stuff, and just like Eric said, having the reps in to be like, okay, well, looking at this, it's going to be getting pretty close to where we want it to be, but like, instead of just looking at it, or instead of just grabbing the thermometer, tipping it, be like, oh, it's 160, or whatever the case.
Let's wrap it. Yeah.
And okay, then we need to do this or that. Check the temperature. That's great. See how it feels, see how it looks. Don't just go off of one thing, because there's so many different factors to all of it. Some things might be little things.
Eric, you and I think we talked maybe a week or two, like after I had left, what we were talking about was changing small things, because we think it's a better product, not being worried that your regular customers aren't like gonna come because it's slightly different. A regular customer came up and they asked you if you did anything different, and you didn't do anything significantly different, but they said they were the best ribs that they had ever had from you guys.
If I do these nuanced things, these little changes actually result in exponentially better things because it's magnified, right? We've got to make sure that we're not just doing like what the status quo is. And I think that's when the biggest difference in your craft really starts to come out. And it's not really any extra effort. I mean, I don't think it's just kind of just doing things just slightly different from what you have done. You know, the cool thing is that, you know, there's so much knowledge out there, and really, you know, we ran this business for 2 or 3 years just based off of like watching YouTube videos and networking and all that kind of stuff. It's just so important to have like relationships with somebody like you know, or anybody that can be a mentor and would give you an opportunity to talk. And barbecue, more than any other business, is like so good about network. So 100%. I mean, we would have you back just to go watch movies, you know, with Cody, you know, if you want to do that. So.
You know, I just want to say I appreciate the opportunity just to work with you guys. We addressed certain things that we want to do, and I tell people all the time, as well as like before I start these jobs, I want to make sure that everything's set in stone, that we know what we're doing. Things will come up just because that's what restaurant life is like. I think just to have that opportunity to do that with you guys was great, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
We're glad to do it. We wanted to, you know, I would tell anybody if they bring Joe into town, keep him busy. We didn't want to. I think we wore old boy out by the end of the weekend.
When we talked about it, I was kind of like, it's gonna be one, but I mean, I don't want to be someone they're gonna hire me and all I'm there is just to watch you guys work. That's not how I roll. So, all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the conversation that I had with Eric and Cody. And the one thing that I hope you guys can see and tell is that I really, really love working with, you know, smaller businesses or larger ones, you know, depending on what you guys need, and just being able to, you know, identify certain things that might need to be fixed or things to make your life easier, to make your food better. All that kind of stuff is really fun for me. And I think that comes from my backgrounds of being a teacher and a coach, and now I can kind of do that with barbecue. So again, if you guys are looking for help, feel free to email me, tell me a little bit about yourself, about your business, what you're looking for, and you know, hopefully in the future we'll be able to work together. So that's it for today, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you guys in the next one.